What's up, everybody? This is your favorite motivator, Joshua J. Raby. It is just one of those spontaneous days when I feel like asking some questions, but I don't want to ask you any questions. I want to ask our special guest today. This gentleman is currently running for place 14,
14.
Criminal Division,
Right.
Circuit Court,
That's it.
Jefferson County. Uh, Most of you all know this man already. His name is Eric Hamilton. Eric, how you doing?
I'm good, Josh. I'm doing good.
So listen. Others may know different titles for him, and he'll tell you those titles in a minute while he's as he gets ready to run. But this is just going to be a natural conversation. Let me go ahead and give my little speech that I have to give. Nothing that is said on this show is a reflection of Apple, iTunes, any of the other organizational platforms that we're on: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. None of this is based off of them. It's all solely of One Motivation Network, my company. And I have I think most of y'all, know my big announcement in a minute, but it'll be told in just a second. But Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Listen, it's hard to get a hard working man to come and do the show with me. I got to beg and cry to folks next to get you on here. So I'm excited to finally have you.
Man, I'm excited to be here. But Josh, you got direct access to
Right.
You don't have to call anybody to come get you before they come on the show, man.
So real quickly, man, don't even worry about the camera being here. We're just gonna have regular conversations as always. But for the folks that are watching, who's wondering who is this man that I am talking to, go ahead and introduce yourself to him. You can look at the camera if you want to give him that all $1 million look. Go ahead.
Well, my name is Eric Hamilton, and I'm running for Circuit Judge, place 14 in the Criminal Division of Jefferson County. I was born and raised here in Inslee. My grandfather was the pastor of First Baptist Church of Inslee. So I grew up in the church parsonage right around the corner here for some time until he passed away. Okay. Reverend Dr. Gilmore took over after him. I'm just a PK kid, man, from both sides of the family. My other grandfather was Reverend Dr. Erskine Fosh, the owner of what was formerly WATV Radio.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Every morning he did a show called Gospel Cavalcade. And so yeah, man, I'm just a PK kid. One on the Baptist side, one on the Methodist side.
Wow. How did I not know that? Wow,
I don't know, man. I don't know if you didn't know that. So, grew up here in Inslee. Graduated from Holy Family High School, and after that, I went to Stillman College. Okay. Pledged Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated down there. Okay. Yo to the noobs.
Don't be doing all that on myself, man. Gonna have some of my sponsors mad now.
So. Yeah, man, and graduated from there, joined the Birmingham Police Department, where I served as a field training officer, helping all the new recruits coming out, trying to teach them ethics and things like that, and, how to be a policeman. You don't have to arrest everybody. You really want to be a servant. You want to try to help people, because when people are going through things, the last thing they need is somebody that's not helping the situation any better, So I learned how to talk to people, learned how to help people as they're going through things. After that, became a state probation and parole officer.
Wow.
Yeah, really interesting, man. Because you find that a lot of people, they just need help. A lot of them, they needed help with finding jobs. They needed places to help stay, somewhere, some food to eat, some clothing, man. Because once you're in a system like that and you're coming out, they come out with nothing. And it would have been easy to put a thumb on somebody, but I found the better use was to try to help them. So, I used some of the resources that I had to try to get them basic necessities, man. Hooked up with employers that would give them a second chance, that would let them work, so to help fight recidivism. And particularly in this community. After that, passed the bar, Alabama State Bar, and decided to launch out on my own. Believe it or not, did criminal defense work.
Wow.
for 10 years, solely dedicated to criminal defense work, saw some things in the system that I didn't like. And so I started trying to address it from that end. And in 2013, I became the first African-American district attorney assistant district attorney in Walker County, Alabama.
Okay.
So you had the Inslee kid going up to Walker County. And that was an interesting thing.
Okay.
Up there. Subsequent to that, when Danny Carr got elected, I came back to Jefferson County. I'm one of the senior trial attorneys. And, unfortunately, I have to deal with some of the more severe charges and the more serious cases. And it really breaks my heart that to have to deal with some of those cases. I've also been a special district judge.
Okay.
So that's interesting. So special district judge is a person who comes in to handle court cases where the sitting judge might be on vacation, might be sick, might be off for some reason, right. And handle their docket. They trust you enough to make decisions on the cases that are coming before you and running. It's really a big deal, and I was just honored that some of the sitting judges there would call me to come and do that. Wow. So I've been in the criminal justice system all my life.
Yeah. So now, so you said you were in the service. What was your title in the service? What were you?
So I was in the Alabama Air National Guard, and I was on the law enforcement side. So pretty much law enforcement has kind of been your whole life, really. Well, yeah, it's a good chunk of it. It has been.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a question that nobody else would ask you.
Okay.
Why do you want to be a judge? Like you've seen the sides, you've seen what happens from both angles.
Right.
So why? What can you change as a judge? Why?
Well, you know what? The judge that currently sits in that seat is retired.
Okay.
Judge Clyde Jones. He's been there 20-some years and he's retired. Because I care about the community, I care about people, and I want to make sure that people who come into the courtroom are treated fairly, that a person comes in and just because they've been accused of something, Josh, you just can't say, look at that file and go, oh yeah, they must have done it.
Right.
And you want a person who comes in to sit on that seat to be balanced. Okay. And it's really important when you deal with these types of cases that a judge understands both sides, that he's done both. Because if you've only done one piece of that, then in my opinion, not that you would not be good, but I think I have a better picture of what's going on. And I think that I'm the most qualified candidate, Josh, at this time to run.
Okay. So we're just talking. What's the difference between being a defense attorney and a prosecuting attorney? For those because there's always the questioning of, so what do you do?
Well, believe it or not, there's a big difference between the two.
Okay.
All right. So when a person is accused of crime, if they can't afford an attorney, one is appointed to them, or they can hire their own. So the defense attorney is there to make sure that the system operates like it's supposed to, that person's rights haven't been violated in any way. All right. Their job is to make sure that not only have their rights not been violated, but if there is any evidence that can be presented on their behalf to show that they didn't do it, that they present a case for them. But one thing, though, Josh, is that people may not know is that the defense attorney never has to say anything. That because a defendant comes cloaked under the presumption of innocence, they're not required to prove their innocence.
Okay.
So the prosecuting attorney is required to present evidence until they are proven or guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in the eyes of the jury. So they never have to say anything. They never have to present one witness. They never have to present any piece of evidence because they have no burden of proof.
Right.
Right. But a prosecutor is different.
Okay.
All right. So a prosecutor has an ethical responsibility to make sure that justice is done and done right and done fairly.
Okay.
So it means that a prosecutor must not only look at what the charge is, but he must also look at, is there any evidence that's favorable to the defendant that says he didn't do it or she didn't do it? And so that's one of the big responsibilities of a prosecutor is to make sure that what a person is accused of, there is evidence to support what they've actually done. If they have not done that, then it's my responsibility to do away with that case.
Okay.
Secondly, a prosecutor is in the best position to help people. A prosecutor sort of holds the keys to an extent, or the door to what I call deferred programs. So you get someone who's got a drug addiction, you got someone with a mental health issue, you got a veteran who has an issue. You have the ability to say, yes, let's put that person in a deferred court. They don't need, to go through the system like this. You know that sometimes young people make mistakes.
Right.
And so as a prosecutor, you're there to say, hey, maybe this person needs youthful offender treatment. Maybe we need to seal their record up. Maybe they were with a couple of friends and they went into the belt store and somebody thought it'd be a good idea to take a polo shirt and run out of the store. Right. Do we want to assign a felony to that person for a $70 shirt? Now, are we saying that we shouldn't hold them accountable and talk to them and tell them, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that? Or do you want to put a felony on someone for that? And now their life is messed up, their ability to get a job, be able to get income, be able to provide for a family, be able to go to school. So you're in the best position really to help in the prosecution office, whereas in the defense side, you can't do any of that. And so the prosecutor is always charged with doing the right thing. He has an ethical responsibility to do that which is right. A defense attorney doesn't do that. He doesn't have that charge. He doesn't have that responsibility because he doesn't have to say anything. Right. Not saying that they're not ethical. That's not, or that they, what I'm saying. But they just have no burden of proof. So the burden of proof is all on this side.
So 18 years in service.
Yeah.
In law. Well, is that all combined together, or is that?
Well, it's 20 years of legal practice for me.
Okay, 20 years
of legal practice.
All right, so let's talk about the 20 years of legal practice, okay? Let's talk about the legal practice, because that's the part that people want to know about. Right. That's the part that people. So when you decided to open up your own practice and you said you're going from, why?
Because I saw some injustices or some broken spots in the criminal justice system that needed to be addressed. And so having had that law enforcement background, it made me aware of some things, some insufficiencies. And so I took that route to bring balance. Right. And so that's why I went to the criminal defense side. Gotcha.
Okay. Now, we're going to leave the law side. What else you do? What else you do, man? I know some other stuff.
You know some other stuff?
I know some other stuff about you, man. I got the whole docket, the bylaws, the bio, all that. Because it ties into you running for judge. And I'm going to tell people why after you tell us what else you do.
All right. So also, I'm a pastor.
Okay. So you got compassion for people.
Absolutely.
And you understand what it means to be held accountable for somebody's life.
Absolutely.
And where they are.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the mind frame of that, of just being accountable. Let's talk about accountability, because that's important in a judge.
Yes. So, when you think of accountability, there's accountability in various degrees. Mm-hmm. You don't always have to drop an amble on somebody to get justice, right? Mm-hmm. You can hold people accountable in many ways, and I'm a firm believer that justice has to be commensurate with what's been done. Right? And because when you look at the justice system, you see often disparity in sentencing. Some people who do the same thing get treated differently than others. And, you as a pastor, you want to make sure that whenever you look at something, whenever you look at a case, whenever you look at some person, that you're looking at them with clean eyes and a clean heart. Because how else can you do what's right if your heart and your eyes are not right? And so you can still hold people accountable even and have a degree of compassion for them. Justice can be tempered with mercy.
People say justice is blind.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think justice is blind.
Why don't you think that?
I don't think that justice is blind because I see too many disparities in the way that people are treated. If justice was truly blind, then everything would be a flat line. But it's not that way. And so while Lady Justice may have a blindfold on her eyes, I'm afraid that I think that she peeks out from under it sometimes. And how can justice ever be fair if it's not done equally?
Right. What can people expect from you as a judge?
What can they expect from me as a judge? Well, first of all, they can come into the courtroom knowing that the judge who sits there is going to give them the opportunity to be heard. I think what frustrates a lot of people a lot of times, Josh, when they come into court, is that this is their first opportunity to be heard. A defendant's first time to be able to say, I didn't do this, or I didn't do everything they're saying I'm doing. Right. And you want to give them that opportunity. So often I see that they don't really get that opportunity. Or even with a victim. You have to be able to give people an opportunity to express themselves because they've come into court because they have faith that you're going to be an honest person, a fair person, a compassionate person, and a person who will allow them to tell their story.
Absolutely.
And nothing is more painful than either being a victim or accused of something that you didn't do and the judge won't listen. And so they can expect that when they come in, that they will be, whether a defendant or whether a victim, that they will be treated fairly, that they will be able to be heard, that their case will have the required attention that it needs.
So you're going to give respect to both sides?
Absolutely.
No matter their race, their creed, their age.
That's right.
You're going to give them respect.
That's right. And having worked on both sides, I have the benefit of knowing and the experience of knowing which each side should be doing. And so I'm a much better umpire. Okay. So I can call a strike and a ball, a foul, because I've done both sides. And so you don't have to worry, was he a prosecutor all his life, so he's not going to listen? I don't want to go in there because he's just a prosecutor all his life. No.
I've heard the statement. Now is the time to have a public defender on the bench. Does it matter what position you are, or does it matter the quality of the work you possess?
What matters, Josh, is the quality of the work that you possess and your experience. So a circuit court judge, and let me tell you why I say this. Yeah. Because a circuit court judge has the power of life and death in their hands. Now, for years there was judicial override, where a jury could say, well, we want this person to have life without parole, and the judge could come in and say, nah, I'm overruled, I'm giving death. That's been taken away. So that part now rests in the hands of a jury. Whatever the jury recommends, that's what the court has to follow. But there are a lot of ways to kill people, Josh. than sticking a needle in their arm.
Mm.
Because a circuit judge has so much power, you can kill people by the way you structure things. You can kill people by the sentences you hand down. I don't have to give you a life without sentence. If you get 75 years, that's a life sentence. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you can kill people by not necessarily giving second chances when they should be, and shipping someone off to prison, and thus causing a breakdown not only in the family but in the justice system and in the community. See, one thing that people forget about is that the community is also involved in the justice system. You know, when you pluck someone out, there's a hole in the community. It's not just a hole in the family, there's a hole in the community. And so, you know, when a judge has that much power, they can really hurt, help, or harm you.
Right.
And so you want somebody who is balanced, who says, well, in the grand scheme of things, I know how behind the scenes how probation and parole really works.
Okay.
See, nobody has to tell me that because I worked there.
Right.
See, I really know how it works. Right? I know that because I've been a defense attorney and a prosecutor, I've got a really unique view. Right? So if you've only defended people all your life, if you've only defended the people that are accused of committing the crime, how do you then know what justice is like for a victim if you've never represented one? If you've never worked one, if you've never talked to a rape victim, if you've never talked to some loved ones who lost a family member due to gun violence or something like that, how do you know what justice looks like? Well, fortunately, I've been on both sides. And so I bring that balanced approach. And you want a judge to be balanced when you're coming in. You don't want a judge all the way over there or all the way over there. And I'm not saying that the judges we have are currently like that, but I'm saying in me, that's what you get.
Okay. So, and y'all not being rude for the person that just texted me, I'm producing and doing it at the same time. I'm hearing them. At this very moment, what is missing from our court system? Other than the Eric Hamilton, what is missing from our court system?
I think compassion is missing from our justice system. I think uniform justice is missing.
What does that mean?
Uniform justice, meaning that the way people are treated in each courtroom is different. You can go in one courtroom and get one thing, you can go in another courtroom and get another. And throughout the state, because the judge has so much discretion in what to do. You know, as a circuit judge, when one of your responsibilities is to set bonds, but how do you know what bond is appropriate when you've only done one thing? If I've only defended people, then how do I know what the appropriate bond is to make a victim feel safe? That a person will show up in court, that they won't be harmed again. And there are many factors that go into determining bond, but my point is, if you're going to sit on the bench and judge a case, how can you know what to do if you've never tried one? If all you've done is defended one.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that we have great defense attorneys who have become judges, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're lacking in any way. But what I am saying about me is that I have tried these cases. I've put them together. I've presented them to juries. So where a defense attorney never has to present a case, all they have to do is sit there. But when it comes time to rule on evidence that's being presented in the middle of a trial,
Well, listen, y'all, I've been doing this there's very few that have publicly done this on this show, especially this election season. You've seen my endorsements for Candace Pickett. You've seen my endorsement for Lenise Washington. Now I want you to watch and see my endorsement for Eric Hamilton for Circuit Court Judge. And it's not because Eric is my friend. It has nothing to do with him being a preacher and I'm being a preacher, but it has everything to do with the strategic way his approach to the court system. I've met people who have sat in the courtrooms who lost a loved one or who was a victim of crime, and Eric was the attorney for the cases. Never told him this. I know his practice. I know what he does. And so I'm excited and I'm honored to be able to endorse you and support you for your race.
wow, thank you, Jeff.
Because, man, I think we need someone in the court system that doesn't look one way, but look both ways.
Right.
I think that's important.
Absolutely important.
At this very moment, there's somebody watching right now. They're saying, well, I hear you, but I still just don't believe it. I want you to take a moment. I want you to talk to the voters, assure them of who you are, why you're running. And while on May 24th, how many days we got left? Like 13, 14, something like that. Days left. And they have to get to the polls. And they have to make a decision. Do I make a decision for someone who will look not just at my pain, but look at the process? Or do I look at someone that just knows the process? Talk to the people, man.
Wow. When you go to polls on May 24th, what you should consider is that experience matters. Do you want someone who's sitting on that bench whose experience is very limited? I've been a servant all of my life. My footprints have been in the community helping people all my life. Whether it was as a police officer, whether it was as a defense attorney, whether it was a prosecutor helping some victim navigate through a violent crime that's been committed upon them, or as a pastor. Because I've also had to go into those courtrooms and sit on those same benches to sit with both victims and, unfortunately, also when someone's been charged as a defendant. Because not every case requires that a person go to jail. Not every case requires that a person goes to prison, and to advocate on their behalf. And so what you get in me is you get fairness, you get compassion, you get a person who still holds people accountable, but they also look both ways. And so on May 24th, I'm asking you to vote the most experienced person, and that person is me.
As always, anyone is welcome to come on the show. Whether you're running against Eric, whether you're running other races, because I believe your voice has to be heard. I've said that from the beginning when I first started this show, years ago. Anyone is welcome on the show, from Republicans to Democrats, to leaders, to just regular community servants. You're welcome. How can people get in touch with the campaign? You're a little far away. You got a fundraiser coming up. You got some things. I'm trying to remember some things in my head. How can people get part? How do they help? You got poll workers, man. You got stuff that needs to be done. Talk to people.
Look,
how do they connect?
They connect. They can reach out to me on Facebook at Eric Hamilton for Judge. They can email me. at erichamiltonforjudge.com. That's the best way to get in touch with me, or instant message me. That's the best way to do it, Josh. I'll respond right back to him.
By the way, if y'all see the nice graphics that's on that screen, that's actually his website. It is erichamiltonforjudge.com. I would take the credit for that photo, but I have no credit whatsoever for that photo. But that's one of my favorite pictures. And I want to show y'all something real quickly before we get off of here. If my mouse will do right. Okay. My mouse is going to do right. I want to show y'all a video real quickly that I think will speak volumes to Eric's race. Hopefully it'll come up. Give me a second, y'all, because I thought the volume was already up for this. Hold on. I want to make sure that y'all hear Judge. We're going to play it back in just a second.
Eric has 18 years of legal experience, working first as criminal defense attorney and now as deputy to district attorney. Eric is a man of true integrity who will always administer law with fairness and compassion. Please join me in supporting and voting for Eric Hamilton on May 24th. Elect experience, elect Eric.
Now, in case you don't know who that is and you live under the rock, I want to play it back one more time just so you can hear from a legend in the court systems, one of the world's greatest legal minds, if you ask me, to ever sit on a bench. And I'm going to play it back if I can get it back up. I think if I click this, it actually take me to the YouTube. And hopefully it'll play. Yep, it's going to play for us. Hold on. Uh-oh. I did that. That's my fault, y'all. Hold on.
I am Judge Houston Brown, retired circuit judge. He is supporting Eric Hamilton in his campaign to become our next county circuit judge in the criminal division. Eric has more than 18 years of legal experience, working first as criminal defense attorney and now as deputy to district attorney. Eric is a man of true integrity who will always administer all fairness and compassion. Please join me.
All right, so I'm not sure if you hear the audio, but you can definitely go on our page and you can see the video. It's playing in our background, but we're going to make sure that it's listed. And of course, if you go to Eric's Facebook account, you can see it on there as well. Eric Hamilton, the judge. Circuit Court, place 14.
That's right.
I never understood why numbers were there. It confuses me.
Look, it's just easier to say I'm running for the seat that Judge Clyde Jones was sitting in.
Hey, listen, the Honorable Judge Clyde Jones. And I
right.
want people to realize that Judge Clyde Jones is a really good friend of mine. So I can't speak on his behalf, but I can definitely tell you, if you knew the work that Judge Jones did, watch what Judge Hamilton does. So that speaks volumes. All right, y'all, my time is absolutely up. We're going to play this back on Sunday, Monday, and Election Day.
Yeah.
So y'all can watch this again, but this was live. Thank you guys so much. And if you got any questions, erichamiltonforjudge.com is how you can reach them. If you guys want to make donations, if you want to make phone calls, whatever it is, work on the campaign, all that. Listen. And so let me also clarify something, because someone brought it up to me today. Eric does not have a Republican opponent. He has a Democratic opponent.
That's right. So
May 24th seals the deal of whoever sits in that seat. And if I was you, I would do your homework on Eric Hamilton. I would do your homework on Eric Hamilton. I would do your homework on Eric Hamilton. He's a man that has worked tirelessly for the justice system, but he's not your regular person of the justice system. he has an opportunity. He had an opportunity to look at all points of views, and he took those opportunities. And let's give it up for him because of the fact he was the first African American district attorney in Walker County, and now he's working for the first African American district attorney of Jefferson County, Danny Carr. And so that should tell you something. That should tell you something. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. I'll see y'all later. Eric, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Go ahead and do your little thing real quick. Go ahead and say good.
Yo,
See y'all that stuff on. I'll see y'all later.